Here's this characteristic. Almost, which seems subjective, in classic is an early period, and the classic period which started 480 BC is inner subjunctive. That and some other stuff you will see later on brings the Katadesmos at the end of the 5th century BC, and I have dated that 409 BC. The reason is, do you remember the first inscription I showed you that was in Attic and all this? Well, the first inscription was praising Archelaus, actually, the whole thing, if you read it, for helping the Athenians in Samos with wood and cutting tools, xylas και κοπέας. Κοπεύς είναι, μάλλον θα είναι αυτό, πώς λέγεται.
Κοπηλάτης.
Axe. Τσεκούρι. Λοιπόν, Bill, my contribution to this, that nobody has seen before, is they did not know what is between here, they added mithes, or mithes, and this one here, see this iota? Actually, it is zayin. It's a predecessor of zeta, and it was used in the 5th century BC by Boeotians and the Corinthians. So it goes zin over here. Bill, you see better? The question is, what kind of verb are we looking for, and what kind of form is this? Bill, I added over here down. You see that? Mozin mides linemos. She probably wanted to say nobody will take care of him, this man that she wanted to break his marriage, but me. Okay? No, Mozin, I searched for it in the University of Virginia, and I found a reverse dictionary. When I was in Thessaloniki, I did the same thing, but I couldn't find it, so I bought the dictionary. And I saw that the verb was modin. There is a characteristic of the Northwest dialects that the zeta replaces delta. In that, the verb is mordio, or modimi. Probably is mordio. And this is an infinitive, aeolic infinitive. Okay? Bill? This is my map, which shows that the Macedonian dialect was spoken this way here, the one I explained to you earlier. This is a northwestern dialect. Go down to Elis and Achaia. This is the Doric. This is Attic, the Boeotian. And this is also Doric. This is Aeolic. This is Chios, remember, because it's very close to Aeolia. Have in mind, Smyrna was at the end of Aeolia. And it was taken away from the Aeolians by the Ionians. And that's how Smyrna is in the edge, in the ancient times. Now in 1922 it became, the whole thing became Ionia, but it was not. So this is what the thing is, the whole situation with the language. From what I have seen, the language you have in Katadesmos is actually the language that we were speaking in Macedonia. It was mostly Northwest Doric with slight influence of Aeolic. Okay? Bill? And that's it. If you want me to send you any email explaining more, I can even email to you the paper I wrote. Oh, by the way, I sent an email to Dr. Katsopoulos, Miltiadis. He's a top epigraphologist in Greece. He read my paper and he told me he had a lot of information that are not known in the academic world. And he suggested that I expand it and publish it in the academic journal. He was gracious enough to mail to me his manuscript as something he has written, and also some other bibliography, so I'm working on it. and I'm going to expand it. This is my email if you want to send me anything.
Can you explain that this one?
Yeah.
Sorry.
One question.
Yeah.
Somebody asked a specific question. I want a specific answer. What was the language that Alexander the Great was speaking before he was educated by Aristotle? What would be your exact answer to that specific question?
Attic Kini.
Attic Kini?
Yeah. You see, the Kini language,
Before
not classical. Listen to me. There is a difference here. The classic Greek was always spoken in Athens, where they were in courts and stuff like that. The common people spoke the Kini Attic, but it was not codified. Okay, but slowly as we went down to Alexander the Great, at that time, it was more or less established without being codified. Kini was codified in 285 by Ptolemy II, and 20 years later, the Jews said, "Well, what are we going to choose now? Are we choosing the language or we choose the message?" And they were smart enough to choose the message. What they did, they translated everything to Greek. And that's how, and this is what we should do here. We want our children to know the message or to maintain the language. So we better start changing to English. Now you get lots of speak at home. Yes.
Can you explain that this was the language of plain folk?
Oh yes. I'm sorry. That's very important.
Microphone.
This language. This language is the first inscription we have, the first document we ever have in our hands. We got in our hands. That it was prepared by a common person in the language of the common people. That's why we know that the Macedonians spoke this language.
Not aristocracy.
The aristocracy was speaking Kini, and that's why you have in Philotas, if you know history a little bit, and in the case of Ανεβόα Μακεδονιστή, which I have a problem with, to me is a war cry, it was nothing else more than that. But in Philotas it says, Curtius says that it was incomprehensible to understand the Greeks. That was true for many dialects, Greek dialects, not just Macedonian.
It is actually very important to remember. No, I was just going to say it's actually very important that point, because Skopjean propaganda says that the elite of the Macedonians were Hellenized, but the people were something else.
Yeah, right.
That proves it.
By the way, I was half Macedonian.
I know you are.